What if the world's billionaires turned evil? A terrifying thought, isn't it? Let's delve into this chilling hypothetical scenario for a moment. In our world today, billionaires have a significant influence across various sectors of society. Consider the technology sector. The men and women holding the largest fortunes have heavily invested in or outright own the companies that are shaping our digital lives. They are the people behind the devices we cannot live without, the apps we use daily, and the networks that connect us. Their decisions shape the course of innovation and the direction of technological advancement. Now let's turn our attention to the economy. Billionaires, with their vast wealth, have the power to stimulate economic growth or trigger a recession. They own numerous businesses, creating jobs and driving consumer spending. Their financial decisions can make or break markets. In the realm of media, billionaires own major news outlets and entertainment companies. They control the narratives we consume and the information we receive. They have the power to shape public opinion and influence cultural trends. And let's not forget politics. With their immense wealth, billionaires can fund political campaigns, lobby for favorable policies, and influence legislation. In some cases, they even hold public office themselves. These are just a few areas where the influence of billionaires is felt. They have an immense impact on our lives, whether we realize it or not. They shape our world, our experiences, and our futures. Now imagine all of this power and influence suddenly turning against us. What would that look like? In this nightmare scenario, our economy would be the first casualty. Let's take a moment to imagine how billionaires, should they choose to use their wealth for evil, could manipulate the financial markets. Like puppeteers pulling strings, they could influence economic trends, distort value, and destabilize economies. They could cause market crashes, inflation spikes, or even economic depressions at will. A handful of individuals could hold the world's financial health in their hands, turning prosperity into uncertainty with a single decision. But the malevolence wouldn't stop there. These billionaires could use their wealth to create monopolies, buying up competitors and controlling entire industries. They could set prices, determine availability, and dictate the terms of service, all to their advantage. The variety, competition, and innovation that drive our markets could be snuffed out, replaced by a stifling uniformity that serves the interests of a select few. What's more, the survival of small businesses, the lifeblood of our economy, would be under severe threat. Unable to compete with the financial might and market dominance of these billionaire-owned monopolies, many would face extinction. The dream of starting a small business, of making it on your own, could become a thing of the past, replaced by a bleak landscape of corporate dominance. And the fallout from this economic manipulation would be devastating. We'd likely see a wave of unemployment as businesses close and industries consolidate. Poverty levels would skyrocket as people lose their jobs and struggle to find new ones in a market controlled by the billionaires. The gap between the wealthy and the poor could grow to unprecedented levels, creating an economic divide that could take generations to bridge. All of this could lead to an economic collapse, a catastrophic event that would shake the very foundations of our society. The prosperity and stability we take for granted could be replaced by uncertainty, hardship, and despair. With the economy in shambles, society would struggle to cope. Our dependence on technology could become our undoing. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But let's delve into the realm of possibilities for a moment. Imagine a world where the billionaires, those at the helm of our technological revolution, decide to exploit our reliance on technology. We live in an age where technology is as essential as air. We use it for everything, from managing our finances and keeping in touch with loved ones, to ordering our groceries and even controlling the temperature of our homes. But what if these conveniences were suddenly controlled by a select few? Think about the power that lies in the hands of those who control your internet access. With the flick of a switch, they could disconnect you from the world, isolating you, leaving you without access to information, unable to communicate, essentially cutting you off from the world. Imagine a world where your personal data isn't personal anymore. Every search you make, every message you send, every digital footprint you leave, All of it could be monitored, analyzed, and used against you. An invasion of privacy? Absolutely. But in a world dominated by tech giants, what is privacy really? Now let's take it a step further. Consider the terrifying prospect of technology being weaponized against us. Artificial intelligence, drones, autonomous vehicles, all these could be turned into tools of oppression, surveillance, and even physical harm. It's a dystopian scenario, right out of a science fiction novel, but one that could be a reality if technology falls into the wrong hands. This is the power of technological control. It's not just about having the latest gadgets or the fastest internet. It's about who controls these technologies and how they choose to use them. In the hands of benevolent leaders, technology has the potential to elevate humanity. But in the clutches of the unscrupulous, it could be used to manipulate, control, and even harm. In a world dominated by tech giants, privacy and freedom could become a thing of the past. But what about politics? Surely our elected leaders would protect us. Imagine this, a world where the wealthiest individuals no longer content themselves with influencing politics from the sidelines, but instead choose to dive into the fray. They could wield their vast fortunes not merely as a means to an end, but as the end itself, using their wealth to manipulate the very fabric of political systems. Consider the potential reach of this power. Elections, the bedrock of democratic societies, could be swayed not by the will of the people, but by the will of the wealthy. Billionaires could fund extensive campaigns, not just for themselves, but also for politicians who align with their interests. They could use sophisticated data analysis and targeted advertising to influence voters, subtly shaping public opinion to serve their nefarious plans. Policy-making, typically a carefully balanced act of negotiation and compromise, could become a playground for the rich. Billionaires could push for regulations that serve their interests, while stifling those that do not. They could orchestrate the creation of loopholes, enabling them to amass even more wealth, while the majority grapples with the consequences. And what of our democratic institutions? Those bastions of checks and balances? They would be under threat too. Billionaires could exploit their financial clout to undermine these institutions, eroding their power and independence. They could install their allies in key positions, gradually infiltrating these institutions until they no longer serve the public, but the interests of a wealthy few. In this grim scenario, democracy, once the champion of the people, could become a puppet in the hands of the billionaires. The voice of the majority would be drowned out by the clinking of gold coins, the rustle of banknotes. The very essence of democracy, the power of the people, could be usurped by the power of wealth. In this grim scenario, democracy could crumble under the weight of wealth. So, what would life look like in a world where billionaires have gone rogue? We've taken a journey through a hypothetical world where the ultra-rich have taken control, wielding their wealth as a weapon to dominate economies, technologies, and even governments. The aftermath of such a scenario would be a world drastically different from what we know today. In the economic domain, we'd see an unprecedented concentration of wealth. The gap between the rich and the poor would widen to an unfathomable extent. Markets would dance to the tunes of these magnates, and monopolies would become the norm rather than the exception. In the realm of technology, we'd be living in a Big Brother-like world. The billionaires could use their tech empires to monitor our every move, control our access to information, and even shape our perceptions of reality. Privacy, as we know it, might become a relic of the past. Politically, these rogue billionaires could manipulate policies and governments to serve their interests. Democracy could be undermined, replaced by a plutocracy where the richest call the shots. But in the face of such a dystopian scenario, resistance and survival strategies would surely emerge. Small communities might band together, pooling resources and skills to create self-sustaining economies. There might be a renewed emphasis on local, artisanal, and community-driven products and services to counter the monopolies. In the realm of technology, decentralized and open-source alternatives could gain prominence as people fight against technological control. In politics, there might be a resurgence of grassroots activism, with citizens coming together to reclaim their democratic rights. This hypothetical scenario paints a grim picture, but it also highlights our collective resilience and adaptability. It underscores the potential of community, cooperation, and the human spirit to counterbalance the concentration of power. While this scenario is purely hypothetical, it underlines the importance of checks and balances in society. After all, power unchecked can lead to unimaginable consequences.